One of the hardest things to tell a loved one can be to tell them that they are no longer fit to drive. For many, taking away their car keys feels like you're taking away their freedom. Some states are passing laws requiring doctors to report patients who have dementia. The question is whether or not this is a good idea. Right now, only 6 states require physicians to report individuals who are cognitively or medically impaired to the DMV. Some states half encourage it. But the question is, who should be leading the charge? Is doctors, are they the ones who should be notifying the DMV? Is it family members? I'm curious your all's thoughts on this.
Every case is a little bit different, so I think it's the combination of talking to the patient, the family. The DMV should have better standards, and I know there's places you can go to get help, such as AAA.
So there are 5.5 million people in the United States right now diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And as the population ages, this is going to become more and more of an issue. And I'm sure we all see this in our clinical practices, because you see these patients as they age and you age with them, and then they come in, and it's so devastating when they're not independent anymore. And especially, I think that's just a central tenet of what makes you you, and you take that away. You can't do your groceries, you can't go to your doctor's appointments. But interestingly, there is actually data on this, and the University of Pittsburgh published a study in the journal Neurology, and it found that compared to physician reporting, it was much more effective to identify drivers who weren't necessarily still safe on the road by actually doing in-person renewals. Because I think it's really hard as a doctor in many ways, because to your point, we were talking about this beforehand, and Dr. Stork raised a reasonable point that how many more burdens can you place on a physician in terms of mandatory reporting? But I think also the flip side of that is that as doctors, we really want to maintain that trust with our patient. And if the patient is coming into you and you can see that they are developing dementia, and then they feel like they have to hide that from you because now you're going to report them, now they're going to lose their license, you know, they can't be honest with you, I think that's really going to undermine and erode that relationship and that doctor-patient trust. So I think the onus also does have to be on these in-person renewals at the DMV, where they can really assess, are you on medications that are altering your judgment? How with it are you? Can you go back every 6 months, keep renewing over the age of 65, as many states do mandate?
And that also highlights that, if nothing else, there is a standard, and these in-person exams are so very important, because again, in a doctor's office, I don't know that you can necessarily judge how good of a driver someone is. I mean, there are plenty of us, quite frankly, who have no dementia and who are mentally and really bad drivers.
And they drive like Mr. Magoo.
And they probably shouldn't have a license either.
That's probably true.
Yeah, like I said, every case is different. It's a case-by-case basis, and age is not the sole thing that you can make all your decisions on. There's so many other factors that are involved.
And if there is one blessing in most communities now, certainly not rural communities, but in most even smaller towns in America now, the ride-sharing capabilities have improved significantly, because it is so very important for some individuals, the freedom to go get your own groceries, to go to your own appointments. And with the growing element of ride-sharing services, hopefully that becomes a more tenable option for more and more people, because you got to remember, what is the key in all this? We're just trying to keep people safe. Exactly. You're trying to keep your loved ones safe, and that's
a huge part of the discussion, that if you say it in such a way, well, you know, we don't want you to get hurt, but at the same time, we don't want you to hurt somebody else. Maybe it's time you stop driving.
Yeah.
So.
And for our viewers, there are a number of resources out there. So if you or a loved one is really kind of grapple with whether or not it is safe to be on the road, many of these are sponsored by AAA. There's one called Roadwise RX. Some of the DMVs will actually have just assessments in a completely neutral way to tell you if you're still safe on the road. AAA and AARP all have resources for this in terms of assessing the safety, and they have specific programs even to assess the fit of your car and whether or not, just from an ergonomic standpoint, as we age and our posture changes, whether or not it's safe for you to drive and have that visibility as well. So you're not alone, and it doesn't have to be a complete void. There are really good resources out there.
And also, these resources can help determine, well, maybe, you know, maybe mom or dad can still drive during good weather conditions during the day, figuring out exactly what the best fit is for you and your family and loved ones. We're going to have these resources on our website, thedoctorstv.com.